What's going on, everybody? It's me, your long lost digital homie. Say it with me now, y'all. Super Dave. And today we are diving into one wild case. One of those small town stories that just makes you go, how did this actually even happen? We're talking about Ken Rex McElroy, the man, the myth, the menace. Also known as the town bully who got, well, he got what was coming to him. Let's just be real with it. So, Skidmore, Missouri. Skidmore, Missouri is a tiny little town in the Midwest. Population of like 400. Quiet place, but for years, there was this one guy who basically held the entire town hostage. And he did that with fear. He did that with lots of fear. His name was Ken Rex McElroy, the man at the center of it all. And he is the main focus of this story. Alright guys, I gotta just be real about this. Ken was a straight up career criminal. We're talking about cattle rustling, theft, intimidation, arson, assault, sex crimes. You name it, this dude probably did it. Over 21 indictments. I'm serious. I'm not playing. This guy was bonkers. He was literally insane. And illiterate, some would say. You guys want to know the kicker to all this? You want to know what makes this worse? Is that this guy never would get convicted. Seriously, he had this sleazy lawyer and a talent for witness intimidation. Like every time someone tried to take this guy to court, proof, the witnesses, they would magically change their stories. I wonder why. You know, as I was reaching this story, you'd think small town, everyone knows each other, justice would just catch up with them, right? But nah, man. This guy had the system locked down. He'd harass people, threaten them at gunpoint, stalk their families. He was out here living like he was untouchable. As if I haven't scratched the surface enough yet, let's get into why this guy was really so hated. Ken Rex McElroy didn't have just one or two run-ins with the law. This dude had a rap sheet so long it could go across the state of Missouri. Seriously, 21 indictments. McElroy's crimes covered pretty much everything. He started off with small-time stuff, like stealing livestock and equipment from neighboring farms. But what's the real kicker? Whenever someone tried to press charges, McElroy would intimidate them, and all the charges in the case would magically be dropped. This guy just wasn't stealing cattle. He was showing up at people's homes in the middle of the night, sitting outside with his truck and staring them down while holding his shotgun. Imagine waking up in a rural Missouri town, looking out your window, and there's Ken Rex McElroy, big beefy guy, and he's just sitting there, waiting, looking at you, clutching his shotgun. You're probably not showing up to court after that. And a lot of people didn't, and that's the truth. Every single time he'd get into trouble with the law, he'd manage to weasel his way out of it. He had this real sleazy, slick lawyer. And we're talking, like I said, 21 indictments for things like arson, theft, assault. But guess how many convictions? 0. None. Not a single one. This guy literally was untouchable. But guys, things really escalated, as they always tend to do. And it escalated with the shooting of Bo Bowenkamp. So McElroy's daughter, she got caught, quote-unquote, shoplifting at Bo's grocery store. Now, what would most of us do? We'd probably talk with the kid, maybe make the kid apologize, handle it like adults. But not McElroy. Nah, this man decides the appropriate response is to shoot Bo in the neck. I'm not joking, guys. He shot a store owner in the neck for his child who allegedly stole candy. Untouchable, or so he thought. Just so you guys know, Bo survives, but after that, the town was done. They were completely finished. They have had enough of McElroy getting away with everything. But once again, McElroy gets out on bail. And what does he do? He keeps driving by Bo's house, showing up at the grocery store, making it clear that he wasn't going to let this go. This guy was out on bond for attempted murder and was still terrorizing people. You know, there's more reasons why the town really hated him. But basically, every time someone tried to stand up to him, it didn't matter. The law didn't do anything. The justice system failed. So while this guy is out here wrecking people's lives, threatening to burn down their farms, and literally shooting folks, the town just sat there and had to take it. Or they didn't take it for much longer. Now guys, before we get to the climax of this story, and that is how Ken McElroy met his tragic end, we got to talk about his wife. Everybody's got to talk about Trina McLeod. And here's where things get pretty dark. You guys have been warned. Trina was just 14 years old when her and McElroy got married. She was 12 when they started dating. Now that's bad enough, but it gets worse, y'all. Ken Rex McElroy, being the absolute dirtbag that he was, got Trina pregnant when she was only 14. And to avoid getting hit with statutory charges, this dude married her. Not only did he exploit this young girl, but by marrying her, she couldn't testify against him in court. Isn't that some medieval level loophole dodging? Seriously. So yeah, he's abusing the law to get off scot-free. But the chaos didn't stop with the marriage. When Trina's family tried to step in and get her away from him, McElroy took it to a whole new level. He burned down her family's house and shot their dog to intimidate them. This wasn't just some messed up relationship. This was straight up domestic terrorism, everybody. The guy literally ruined the lives of everyone around him. I'm not joking. So now, Ken Rex McElroy not only has the whole town living in fear, but Trina's stuck in this abusive relationship with no way out. And keep in mind, she's still a teenager, y'all, while all this is happening. Folks, Trina was actually in the truck next to McElroy the day he was shot. She saw all this go down. And later she tried getting justice for his murder by filing a lawsuit against the town, but in classic Skidmore, Missouri fashion, just like no one would say who pulled the trigger, no one was charged for his death. This, again, brings us to July 10th, 1981. This is the day everything boiled over. McElroy rolls into Skidmore. Armed, of course, because when is he not armed, you know? He parks his truck right outside the D&G Tavern. And the townspeople decided enough is enough. They've had it. A crowd forms outside. Probably about 60 people. I've heard estimates from 40 to 60. And while McElroy was sitting in his truck, with Trina, of course, somebody fires a shot. Bang! Then another. Bang, bang! And suddenly, it's like open season on Ken McElroy. McElroy was shot multiple times right there in broad daylight, with witnesses all around. And here's the crazy part. Nobody said a word. 60 people, and not one person stepped forward to identify the shooter. The entire town was just like, nah, we didn't see anything. The investigation went nowhere. The county prosecutor brought in grand jury, but with no witnesses willing to talk, nothing came of it. McElroy had finally met his end, but the town had closed ranks. This was small town vigilante justice. Now, some people say that this was a case of justified vigilante justice. Others are like, hey, you can't just go around shooting people no matter how terrible they are. But here's the thing, after years of McElroy's terrorizing the town, with the legal system failing over and over, Skidmore felt like they didn't have any other choice. This town had been pushed to the edge. McElroy had gotten away with so much for so long, and it seemed like nobody was going to stop him except the people themselves. It was like everyone just collectively decided, we're done with this guy. And here's another kicker, y'all. To this day, no one has been charged with McElroy's murder. No one has been held accountable for the shooting, and the identity of the shooter or shooters, whether it was one person, multiple people, this remains a mystery. This case is technically still to this day considered unsolved. But we all know that Skidmore had its own idea of justice. Alright guys, so let's fast forward to today. And Skidmore, it's still a small town. It's quiet, but it's known for one thing: being the place where law didn't have to have the last word. There's a lot of debate over what happened that day, but for the people who lived through it, this was their only way of getting closure. McElroy's death wasn't just about ending the reign of one man. It was about the town reclaiming its peace, a place that had been living in fear for so long. It finally got a chance to breathe again. But it came at a cost, because even though McElroy was gone, the way it went down, that left scars. So what do you think? Was this justice? Was it another form of lawlessness? This story of Ken Rex McElroy is one of those that just sticks with you, because it shows what can happen when a system fails its people. When there's no other options left, y'all, folks tend to take matters into their own hands, for better or worse. That's just kind of how it is. This is a story that reminds us of the dark side of small towns in America, where the line between right and wrong, it gets real blurry. And sometimes the system just isn't enough. So please guys, in the comments below, tell me your thoughts on this case. I've been studying this for weeks now. I've re-edited this script so many times to try to get so much in. There is so much more. There have been movies that have been made about this incident. There is so much to this story, and like I said, it sticks with you. So please, in the comments below, tell me your thoughts on the Ken Rex McElroy case. I gotta thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm gonna be doing more of these kind of videos as we kind of move on here. There's lots to come, y'all. I want you all to remember, stay safe, stay curious, and remember that I love you. And tell somebody else you love them, because today might